Hey everybody, it's the Cartoonkid back again with another fantastic fanfic idea. And today I'm bringing you Shiwa and She Mask. Now you're probably wondering, why did I come up with this? Well, to be fair, yeah, 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 when you think of the mask, you usually think of someone like Jim Carrey. But when you hear of a potential reboot, one with a more female lead, I couldn't help but think of doing, well, Sheila. Mostly because there's, female transforming into a super powerful version of themselves. Yeah, yeah, that's essentially Sheila. So I figured why not you do the do a sort of crossover between the mask and the Netflix version. And so here we are. Story. Princess Glimmer had always known she was adopted into the royal family in a bright moon, but she'd never known she had a sister. That changed when 22-year-old Maya arrived at the castle, claiming to be Queen Angela's eldest daughter, who had been lost as a child during a horde raid. Maya was everything Glimmer wasn't. Tall, where Glimmer was petite, cynical, where Glimmer was optimistic, and possessed of a dry wit that could deflate any enthusiastic speech. She had no magical powers, which made her feel like an outsider among the princesses of the rebellion. Maya often stood apart during magical princess gatherings, feeling aggressively normal among beings who could teleport, grow plants, or command ice and snow. Everything changed when the best friend squad discovered an ancient horde evacuation site. While Adora found the sword of protection and became Shira, Maya stumbled upon something else entirely. A wooden mask covered in strange whirling patterns that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. When Maya exclaimed the artifact curiously, feeling it warm in her hands. The moment she put it on, reality bent around her like taffy. The mask was fused with Maya's face in a swirl of green energy, transforming her into something that defied all logic. Her body became cartoonishly exaggerated, her modest frame suddenly curved and impossible, her brown hair a wild mane of green, her eyes glowing yellow with mischief. When the max power took hold, Maya became She-Mask, a reality-warping trickster goddess with the power to pull anything she needed from thin air, reshape the world around her, and turn combat into a slapstick comedy routine that somehow always ended with her enemies defeated and thoroughly humiliated. Adora stared in amazement at her friend's sister, who was now spinning on her finger with a comedically oversized mallet that definitely hadn't existed moments before. Sea Mask's addition to the rebellion changed everything. Where Sheila inspired hope and courage, Sea Mask inspired absolute pandemonium. Her battles with the Horde were less epic clashes of good and evil and more Looney Tunes episodes with higher stakes. During their first joint mission, Sheila and Sea Mask infiltrated a Horde base. Sheila kicked down the door heroically while Sea Mask cartwheel danced through the same door, somehow producing a jazz band from nowhere. The Horde soldiers didn't know whether to fight or applaud. Bo watched in bewilderment as She Mask juggled Force Captain Kyle, Lonnie, and Rogelio while humming show tunes. Recognizance missions were definitely not supposed to work this way. Glimmer could only point helplessly as her sister pulled a giant cartoon magnet from behind her back and began attracting all the Horde's weapons to herself. Kadra was the first to encounter Sea Mask in battle, and it broke her brain entirely. She stared in disbelief at this green-haired maniac who had just turned her tank into a giant rubber duck. Sea Mask purred threateningly, somehow producing a scratching post and dangling it tauntingly. Shadow Weaver was even more baffled. Her magic, which could corrupt and control, who simply slid off Sea Mask like water off a duck's back. The ancient sorceresses carefully laid psychological manipulations were met with honking sounds, pie throwing, and interpreted dance. Shadow Weaver hissed about the impossibility of such power, only to have She Mask teleport behind her and tap her on the shoulder. With theatrical flair, She Mask performed a magic trick that turned Shadow Weaver's dramatic cape into a frilly pink tutu. As the story progressed, the dynamic between Sheila and She Mask became the heart of the rebellion. Adora's earnest heroism was perfectly balanced by Maya's chaotic good energy, whereas Sheila would give inspiring speeches about hope and friendship. Sea Mask would defeat entire squadrons by turning their weapons into pool noodles and their vehicles into parade floats. Adora questioned Maya's methods after Sea Mask ended a battle by somehow convincing a Horde robot to perform a Broadway number. Maya pointed out that her methods got results and challenged Adora to remember the last time anyone got permanently hurt in one of her fights. It was true. Somehow, Sea Max's cartoonish violence never actually harmed anyone. Enemies got flattened, stretched, exploded, and transformed, but they were always popped back to normal, usually looking more confused than injured. The relationship between Glimmer and Maya deepened as the war progressed. Glimmer struggled with her growing powers and responsibilities as future queen, while Maya grappled with the addictive nature of the mask's power. During a quiet moment between battles, Maya admitted that sometimes she didn't want to take the mask off. When she was Sea Mask, nothing could hurt her. She was powerful, confident, unstoppable. Without it, she felt ordinary. Glimmer firmly reminded Maya that without the mask, she was still her sister, and she was already one of those things. The mask just let everyone else see it. Even when she accidentally turned Bo into a living marionette, which Glimmer privately admitted she had always wanted to do herself. When Horde Prime arrived and began his conquest of Etheria, both Shiwa and She-Mask their powers tested like never before. Prime sterile, emotionless protection was the antithesis of everything they represented. Shiwa's sword couldn't cut through Prime's mental control, and She-Max's reality warping seemed to have no effect on Prime's chips or clones. Prime observed that She-Max's chaotic, unpredictable power had no place in his perfect universe. She-Mask snarled back that perfect was boring, even as the mask's power flickered under his influence. It was only when the sisters combined their approaches, She-Ma's unwavering belief in love and friendship, and She-Max's absolute refusal to take anything seriously, that they found a way to reach the real Hordak and eventually Horde Prime himself. In the climactic battle, Shiva prepared to sacrifice herself to save the universe. She-Mask made her own choice. The Mask of Loki had shown her that reality was malleable, that rules were meant to be broken, and that sometimes the most powerful magic was simply refusing to accept that something was impossible. Maya declared that if Adora was going into the heart of Etheria, she was going too. When Adora protested about the danger, Maya pointed out that she had been defying death since putting on the mask. Besides, someone had to make sure Adora didn't take herself too seriously while saving the universe. Together, Shiwa and She-Mask entered the heart of Etheria, where Shiwa channeled the power of love and friendship. She-Mask channeled the power of absolute reality-defying nonsense. The combination proved unstoppable. With the universe saved and Horde Prime defeated, Maya chose to keep the mask but use its power more sparingly. She became Bright Moon's most unconventional diplomat, solving interplanetary conflicts through a combination of therapeutic chaos and strategic absurdity. Glimmer read mission reports describing how Maya had turned the Scorpione King into a tap dancing lobster, which had somehow given his people a new cultural art form and resulting in a signed peace treaty. Siwa and Shimas continue to work together, proving that sometimes the universe needed both earnest heroes and chaotic tricksters. After that, after all, what good was saving the world if you couldn't have a little fun doing it? And if sometimes Maya still put on the mask just to turn Bo's trick arrows into rubber chickens during practice, well, that was between sisters. And yeah, essentially that's my best interpretation of a crossover, last week, right? Of Netflix's Sheila and the Mask. But I digress. Anyway, and this is pretty much all I got for right now, so please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you kind of like this idea. And if you do like it, want to use it, may improve a little bit, all I simply ask is credit for the idea. Okay, bye!